Our students who participate in early college, when they do matriculate to that four-year university, they are well better prepared for the rigor
opportunities that we have for students. For example, the opportunities here today.
Welcome to the Focus Show. I am your host, Fantasy Carey. Our own Brandon K. Hedgepeth conducted an interview with Jane Marioneaux, who is the girls' head volleyball coach at Ella Fitzgerald Middle School. Let's take a look.
Hello, everyone. I am Brandon K. Hedgepeth of the Focus Show. I'm so glad to have you all here. So today, I'm honored and pleasured to be here with Miss Marioneaux of the Ella Fitzgerald girls volleyball team. Thank you so much for being here.
It is my pleasure.
Hey, of course. And so before I get started with the questions, I did want to first ask, how are you doing today?
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. It is really a pleasure to be here, truly.
Well, I'm truly glad to have you here. And so I guess my first question for you is, how did you first get started with coaching volleyball?
I personally started playing in high school. I was recruited to college, chose not to play, but I missed it so much that I started officiating back in '91. I've officiated for over 25 years, everything from grassroots all the way up to NCAA Division I. I am a scorekeeper for the College of William and Mary on occasion. I first started coaching middle school when my children played on grassroots teams in Williamsburg.
Oh, well, that is really great to hear. And so how was it like coaching volleyball for middle school?
It is a bit different than at the higher skill levels. The program here at NNPS is a developmental program. So we stress the basics: good communication, court movement, and ball control.
Wow. And so what are some of the requirements for girls to want to be on the volleyball team?
NNPS Middle School Volleyball Program plays under the Virginia High School League rules. So the academic requirements are the same as for high school, minimum 2.0 GPA. However, Newport News has always encouraged its individual coaches to have individual expectations that are much higher than the minimum. I personally require my girls to have no D's, no F's, no ISS, no OSS, and to be a role model in the classroom.
Wow, well, that is great to hear that you are able to lay out your expectations and you'll be able to have a nice team. And so for the girls who are interested in being on the team, are there any sort of like requirements in terms of like physical demands or tryouts, or how is that process for girls wanting to try to be on the team for Ella Fitzgerald?
As I said before, NNPS Middle School Volleyball Program is a developmental program, so there's no requirements for previous experience. However, I stress personal fairness. I don't do personal favorites in any way to try to ensure that I have a scoring system that I use every single year at tryouts. This scoring system does emphasize skill. And so if a young lady does have any prior experience, of course, she would probably have an advantage. But other than that, nothing, no other requirements.
Well, that is great to hear. And so what are some of the things that you saw during this regular season that really, I guess, indicated to you that this was going to be a very special team this season?
Yes, this particular group of eighth graders, of course, we didn't have a season last year, but 2 years ago we did. So my eighth graders this year I had as sixth graders, and I knew then that they were a special group. They were probably the best crop of sixth graders that I have ever had at that time. So I knew that they were going to be an amazing group.
Well, that is really great to hear. And I'm just so glad that, being able to see the progress over the 2 years should have been 3 years, but yeah. And so over this time, was there any like how was the development between then and now for the girls on the team?
Well, I think what you're talking about is like adversity or something like that, like trailing in a set. This team never really trailed in any set in the season. They were really in a talented group of young ladies. However, the championship game, they were really nervous for some reason. And they fell behind for the very first time all season. And we have to give credit to Gildersleeve. They worked so hard, and we saw the improvement in Gildersleeve. So that was kudos to Gildersleeve. They did a great job. My girls learned two very important lessons from that game. The first, they're not invincible. And the second, they learned they can come behind and they can win. They can come from behind and they can win. My girls actually never lost a set all season. It was a perfect season.
Well, that is great. And I mean, it just really comes to show like the, not just the skill level, but truly like the passion for the sport almost. And, you know, and really like how much they were able to endure. And so who are some of the leaders on the team, and how does leadership play a role within girls volleyball?
Girls volleyball is a team sport. Very much. A team with one single superstar is not going to win. It is, everybody has to support each other and each person has to play their role. Shanice was probably the best natural leader that I've ever had in all my years of teaching. Anna, she plays club, and her depth of experience was just a rock. Everybody relied on her, gave everyone else confidence. Alexa, complete, total positive energy. When Alexa's on the court, everybody is just that much more hyped up. Chloe and Kamani were quiet, but they were the type that you could just simply count on. You just never worried. The ball came to them. You knew they were going to get the ball. And Janie, the sixth person, she was just constantly cheering everyone on. They all played an important role.
We will have more with Brandon's interview with Jane Marioneaux after the break.
Ryan, are you doing your homework?
Yes.
Are you sure you're doing your homework?
Yes.
Ryan, are you reading your book for school?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Ryan, you've got a test tomorrow. Are you in the bed?
Welcome back to the Focus Show. We will now show you the second half of Brandon's interview with Jane Marioneaux, who is the girls' head volleyball coach at Ella Fitzgerald Middle School.
Well, that is really great to hear. And, you know, that teamwork truly is able to, work together and everyone has their own, roles in playing that. So that is honestly really great to hear. So I guess that leads right into the next question I had, which was, how does, the team bonding really affect the playing for the volleyball team?
I emphasize team. I emphasize a cohesiveness within the team. Like I said, volleyball is a sport where having one star player doesn't help you win. All players must always back each other up emotionally as well as physically on the court. So, yeah, I don't really deal with drama a whole lot. I require team, and that was one of the things that I can emphasize. They were a team. They all really liked each other.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that. And so, how important was winning for Ella Fitzgerald Middle School?
Very, very. Dozier was renamed Ella Fitzgerald Middle School this last year. So as a community, we're still finding this new identity. We're trying to find ourselves, I guess you could say. Coming together and earning the first district championship was very exciting, and it certainly helped bring that sense of community to us and also to bring the Ella Fitzgerald Jazz to the district attention.
Well, I'm glad that the Jazz was able to do well this season and will continue to do so. And so how's the reaction been across the school for ever since winning the championship?
I have to mention this. We have an amazing administration here at Fitzgerald. Our administrators organized a school-wide pep parade, not really a pep rally. With COVID, we can't really pack the entire school into a gymnasium, but we can spread them all out on the hallways. And so we had a pep parade the day of the championship. Before that, everybody knew we had a volleyball team, but they certainly were not connected with it. We had a band playing, we had cheerleaders. Every single student and teacher was lining the halls that morning. You could feel the school spirit building. Ever since winning, we've had a lot of students come up to our players and congratulate them on winning.
Well, that is, just truly remarkable to hear. And then even though, of course, the present circumstances, that you all were still able to celebrate the players and really like the effort that they put in. And so that is all just so great to hear. And so I guess that sort of answers the question I was going to ask next, which was, how does winning the championship truly affect these student athletes and the whole the community around the school?
It's that parade. That parade is so important. First off, we have our tryouts. We have so many kids try out, but our 8th graders remembered the parade that we had 2 years ago when we also won the championship. And so we had a lot of 8th graders come out to try out. The 6th graders and the 7th graders were just wide-eyed and looking, and next year I'm looking for just as many to come try out again, because the volleyball team is special. We're we've won a championship, and so it does bring interest and also school spirit.
Well, that is really great to hear, and continuing that legacy of championship wins. And so I guess the next thing I'll ask is for next season, how is the returning team looking like?
Newport News has a wonderful rule. They require a mandatory third set. We play the best 2 out of 3, and if the match is decided early after the first 2 sets, what we do is we have a mandatory third set where any bench player that didn't get a chance to come in, they're the ones who play the mandatory third set. All starters are required to sit. This accomplishes 2 things. Everybody gets playing time, but everybody also gets experience on the court, and it builds experience. My bench players only lost 1 set the entire season, so that makes me optimistic for next year.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that. And so what are some things that you and your team are looking forward to going into the next season after this win?
Well, naturally, the 6th and 7th graders will need to step up and take their place on the court. I always try to involve others in the school. Every game, I offer a chance to the music department to sing or play the national anthem. We have the cheerleaders come to our game. Any others that I can think of to help involve the school and to a sense of community and a sense of school spirit.
Well, I'm just so glad to hear that, as always. And so this next question I'll ask before I turn it over to you is, so what is the reward that you get from really being able to coach these the girls volleyball team and being able to see them get this far and then win it? Like, how has this all been for you?
Well, of course, winning a championship is satisfying, but I do need to be honest, it is the relationships and mentorships that mean the most to me over the years. I have been coaching the team since 2010, and as I mentioned, I am also an official for the high schools during the fall. I remember some of my former players coming up to me and thanking me for getting them involved in volleyball. It becomes a life for them. They are so involved in it. Some have gone on to play for colleges, and others just thank me for giving them a place where they could have a sense of belonging and learning that hard work really does make a difference, both in the classroom and later in life. For me, this is the biggest reward for coaching middle school volleyball.
Well, I am just, once again, just truly glad to hear. And so before we go ahead and come to a close with this interview, I did want to give some time for you and say, is there anything else that you really would like to say or mention about this team, or for anyone who may potentially be interested in joining the team as we close this out? It's been great speaking with you thus far.
Volleyball is a sport that's a little unlike the track and basketball that we also have here at middle school. Kids been running all their lives. They need to be taught how to run right, but they do know how to run. Basketball, there's opportunities all over. Volleyball, the opportunities are just not there to learn the basic skills. I heard through the grapevine that team sports are actually no longer even a part of PE curriculum. I'm not positive of that, but if that's the case, these kids come in basically knowing nothing. And so that's why Newport News is considered a developmental program, because when they step on the court, for me, that's the first time many of them have ever played volleyball at correctly, the way it is supposed to. And I am constantly advocating for these kids to just learn a team sport that for so many of them becomes a way of life.
Well, I truly wish you all the best in continuing your time as a coach at Ella Fitzgerald Middle School. And it's been truly great to speak with you. And I'm so glad that we had a chance to be able to speak today.
Well, I would like to say one last thing. I would like to once again thank my administration here at Ella Fitzgerald. They truly are very supportive. And also I would like to thank Mr. Nichols and Ms. Croft at the school board office. They have always been very supportive of anything that I have ever, I asked them questions and whatever, they're always there immediately for me. So I would like to thank them as well.
Well, continuing on what you were saying, I will also extend my thank you to them as well. And once again, thank you so much for being here. It's just such a pleasure, and I hope to be able to speak with you one day again soon.
It would be a pleasure. Thank you, Mr. Brandon. Have a good day.
You as well.
That's all for the Focus Show today. We hope you enjoyed Brandon's interview with Jane Marioneaux, who is the girls' head volleyball coach at Ella Fitzgerald Middle School. You can check this show and others on our YouTube channel at NNPS Telecom. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm your host, Fantasy Carey.